Chapter 1. The Amber's Call. The cavern breathed with heat, the stone walls alive with a faint golden shimmer. Elara paused at the threshold, her palms slick with sweat, her chest tight with anticipation. The glow ahead wasn't sunlight. It was older, wilder. It whispered straight into her bones. This is it. The Ember. For years she had heard the stories of a flame that was not fire, of light that was not of the sun, a power that tested, judged, and sometimes destroyed. She had never known if those tales were warnings or myths. Now, standing here, she felt its pull like a heartbeat in the dark. The Ember was real waiting. A soft rustle stirred behind her. Elara stepped out of the shadows, eyes sharp, hand brushing the dagger at her hip. Always the steady one, always ready for danger, Elara, she whispered, voice low and firm. This isn't just a relic. Are you sure you want this? He fixed on the pulsing light. Her throat felt dry, but her voice was steady. If the Ember has called, then I have to answer. For me. For the city. For all of us. The cavern fell silent, as if listening. Elara took a step forward, then another. Threads of light quivered across the stone floor when she passed, as though the Ember itself acknowledged her presence. At last, she reached the dais. The Ember floated there, a sphere of molten radiance, no larger than her hands. It shimmered like flame, yet gave off no heat. Still, warmth seeped into her skin, into her blood, and in its glow, she felt a terrifying truth. It was watching her. Her pulse thundered slowly. She raised a trembling hand. The light swelled, not in warning, but in welcome. Elara's voice cracked between awe and fear. Her fingers brushed the Ember, and the world exploded. Vision is seared through her. Forests burning beneath black skies, oceans devouring cities, voices crying in despair and defiance. The weight of destiny pressed into her chest until she gasped for air. The Ember wasn't a relic, it was a choice, a test. The visions faded. She stood trembling. The Ember cradled in her hands, glowing with her heartbeat. Elara stepped closer, eyes wide. It chose you. Elara shook her head. Number, it's not about being chosen. It's about what I'll choose when the time comes. The Ember pulsed once, steady and unyielding, as if it agreed inside. Elara knew. Her journey had just begun. Chapter 2, The Veil's Labyrinth. The world dissolved into starlight the instant Elara and Elara stepped through the veil. The air was thin and sharp, the ground beneath their boots glittering like fractured crystal. Before them stretched a path that bent at impossible angles, folding into itself like a puzzle drawn across infinity. Glass pillars rose and vanished in a blink, as though the landscape itself refused to stay still. Elara's voice was a hushed breath. This feels like a dream. Elara clutched the Ember tight against her chest. Its glow blazed brighter here, veins of molten gold spilling into the shifting walls. The labyrinth seemed to rippling, bending, alive. Not a dream, Elara murmured. A test? The veil pulsed in response. Pathways opened and cloaked. Whispers stirred in the air, first faint, then louder, rising until the words almost formed sentences. Elara. Her body froze. The voice was her mother's, warm, aching, impossible. From an archway to her left, a silhouette beckoned, Fratston, from one desperate heartbeat. She wanted to run to it. Elara's hand shot out, gripping her wrist. Don't look. Don't listen. It's a trap. The Ember flared hot in her palm, sealing the warning. Elara tore her gaze away and forced herself forward. The labyrinth grew crueler, a glass bridge tracking like ice underfoot. Elara's pulse hammered, but she pressed on. The embers glow, the only steady thing in the shifting dark beyond the bridge. A corridor of shadows pressed in on them. Voices hissed from every side. You will fail. You are weak. You will destroy everything you touch. The air thickened until each breath seared her lungs, but still she moved forward, jaw clenched, the ember blazing like fire in her grip. At last, the corridor spilled into a vast chamber of mirrors. Towers of rippling glass surrounded them, reflecting endless versions of themselves. At the center stood a figure cloaked in violet fire, its form shifting, male, female, human, something more. You carry the M resin, its voice layered and resonant. But can you bear its will? The mirrors trembled. From their surfaces, twisted reflections crawled into being. Dark versions of Elara and Elara, eyes hollow, mouths curled in scorn. Elara's reflection drew a blade of shadow. Leorad swung hers with brutal precision. They attacked at once, merciless, as if they were the truest versions of themselves, forged from every doubt and every fear. Steel clashed in the storm of light and shadow. Each blow Elara struck echoed like striking herself. Her reflection's whispers slithered into her mind with every clash. You will burn them all. You are no savior, only a destroyer. Her arms faltered. Doubt clawed at her resolve. Don't fight them apart, Leora shouted, her voice raw over the din. They want us divided! The truth cut through Elara like lightning. Together, that was the key. She shifted her stance, letting the ember's light pour into Leorad's blade. Radiance and steel moved as one, every strike synchronized, every blow dismantling the shadows. One by one, the twisted reflections shattered, glass exploding into starlight until the chamber stilled. The cloaked figure bowed its head, violet flames dimming. You endure. But remember, the ember is no gift. It is a burden, and its weight has only begun. The chamber dissolved. Maras melted into darkness. The labyrinth swallowed them once more. Elara's grip on the ember trembled, but her gaze was steady. Whatever the veil intended, it wasn't finished with them. Not yet. Chapter 3. Shadows in the Wasteland. The wasteland stretched like a scar across the earth. Endless dunes of cracked stone and scorched sand, where the wind moaned like broken glass. Nothing lived here. No bird, no insect, only ruin. Elara drew her cloak tighter. Though the sun blazed overhead, the cold gnawed into her bones. Each breath carried the taste of ash. The ember pulsed faintly in her hand, its glow a fragile defiance against the emptiness. Beside her, Leora scanned the horizon with a soldier's wariness. Too quiet, she muttered. This land was cursed long before the ember called us. Silence pressed heavier with every step. Only the crunch of boots broke it, until at last they stumbled upon the remnants of a city. Towers collapsed. Streets half buried in sand, black scorch had fallen from the sky. At a shattered fountain, Elara glimpsed her reflection in the stagnant water. Her breath caught the face staring back. Wasn't hers. It was hollow-eyed, twisted, consumed. She staggered back, clutching the ember tight. Leora, did you see? Shadows shifted, figures emerged from the ruins. Skeletal shapes wrapped in tattered rags, eyes burning like coals. They circled slowly, predatory, whispering in a chorus of voices not entirely their own. Diora's blade flashed free. These unhent illusions that are real. The ember flared in Elara's grip, golden light cutting the gloom. The shadows hissed and drew back. One lunged, claws slicing the air where Elara had stood. She thrust the ember instinctively. Light burst outward in a searing wave, dissolving the creature into smoke. But more came. Dozens, scores. Their whispers rose, deafening. You are not worthy. You will fail. The ember will consume you. Elara's pulse hammered. Panic clawed at her chest. Every strike she landed only brought more shadows. Worse, each new shape bore familiar faces. Friends she'd lost, strangers she'd failed, all of them twisted, accusing. Her blade faltered. Her breath caught. Then Leora's voice cut through the storm, sharp and unyielding. "A lamb," their eyes. "The ember answers to your will, not your fear. Trust it. Trust yourself." Her words struck like steel. Elara shut her eyes, drew a breath, centered herself in the ember's warmth. No longer swinging blindly, she let its light flow through her, weaving arcs of clarity and control. Each pulse dissolved, shadows silencing their venomous whispers. The last figure shrieked, unraveled, and was gone. Silence fell. The ruined city lay still once more. Elara dropped to one knee, sweat stinging her eyes, the ember glowing steady but heavy in her trembling hands. They weren't just shadows. They felt real. Yora knelt beside her, blade lowered but still wary. That's the wasteland's curse. It feeds on guilt, on fear, and the ember draws it out, makes it stronger. Elara's throat tightened. Faces still haunted her vision, the people she couldn't save, the choices she hadn't made. If this is only the beginning, what comes next? Leora's gaze was grim, but her voice was steady. Whatever it is, we face it together. The ember pulsed once, resolute, steady. But in the silence that followed, Elara felt it deep in her bones. The wasteland had not revealed its worst. Not yet. Chapter 4. The hierarchies snare the wastelands gave way to jagged cliffs, their edges carved by winds that howled like restless spirits. Each step felt like trespass. The ember pulsed uneasily in Elara's grip, its glow faint but insistent, guiding them through the narrow ravine. Laura slowed, her instincts prickling. Marlene watched. Elara felt it too. The air was wrong, heavy, like unseen eyes pressed against her skin. "By who?" she whispered. The answer came at once. Beakers appeared on the cliffs above, cloaked in silver and black, their insignias glinting like knives. They moved with precision, every step a blade of discipline. Elara's chest tightened. "They followed us through the veil," No Leora said grimly. They were waiting. The agents raised their hands. A low hum filled the ravine as shimmering chains of magic laced between them, weaving into a glowing lattice. The air thickened, crushing. Elara's limbs turned to lead, her breath strangled. "It's a snare," she gasped, the embers straining against the bonds. The leader stepped forward, lowering his hood. His face was stone ageless, unyielding, eyes like sharpened steel. His voice was calm. "All paths that are not yours to claim." Elara's anger flared, despite the pain. "Then why did the veil open for me?" His expression didn't shift. "Because you are a variable, and variables must be contained." The chains constricted. Pain ripped through her body. The ember burned hot, but the lattice bent its light, suppressing it. She collapsed to her knees, every breath a struck. "Let her go," Ciara roared, fighting her own bindings. "You don't understand what she carries." The leader's gaze slid to her, cold and absolute. "On the contrary, we understand perfectly. That is why she cannot be free." Elara's vision blurred, desperation clawed at her chest. The ember raged within her hand, begging to be unleashed. But if she loosed it recklessly, the blast would kill everyone. Even Leora. The snare tightened, her spirit cracked under the weight. Then, Leora's voice, fierce and unyielding, cut through the haste. "Elara, the ember doesn't make you strong. You make it strong. Control it. Don't let it control you." The words hit like lightning. Elara grit her teeth, forced her focus inward. Instead of fighting the chains, she matched the ember's rhythm to her own heartbeat. One pulse, then another. A steady, deliberate will cracks of golden fire spread across the lattice. The agent's spell faltered. Their leader's eyes widened. Too late. The snare shattered with a thunderous crack, hurling the agents to the ground. Elara rose slowly, breath ragged, the ember blazing like a living star in her palm. Her voice carried through the ravine. "You can bind me." The cliffs trembled. Rocks split, avalanches tearing down as though the land itself rejected the agent's presence. "Move." The Yora grabbed Elara's arm, pulling her as the ravine collapsed behind them. They ran until silence returned, the ground steady once more. Elara leaned heavily on the Yora, her strength nearly gone. The ember glowed faint, steady but subdued. "They'll come again," she whispered. "The hierarchy won't stop until they break me." Leora's hand tightened on her shoulder. "Then let them come. Next time, we'll be ready." Elara lifted her gaze toward the horizon, where the Veil's path shimmered faintly. But for the first time, she felt something stronger than fear Defnians. Chapter 5. The Veil's Descent. The Veil opened like a wound in the air, silken threads of light unraveling into endless stark. Elara hesitated at its edge, the ember glowing faint in her palm, its pulse matching the anxious tremor in her chest. "This doesn't feel like the last trial. It feels deeper." Elara swallowed hard. She couldn't deny it. The Veil wasn't just an entrance. It was a descent, a pull into something older and more dangerous than the labyrinth or the wasteland. Still, she stepped forward. The world bent, folding around her. Daggingness swallowed everything. For a moment, there was no ground, no sky, no sense of direction, only the weightless drift of a dream. Then shapes began to take form. A stairway of broken stone spiraled downward into endless shadow, lit only by the faint glow of the ember. Each step echoed too loud, as if the Veil itself lisped behind. "If this is meant to test us, it's already working." Elara forced a thin smile. "Then we passed by, not breaking." The descent stretched on, oppressive, until at last they reached a vast chamber. Its ceiling vanished into darkness, its walls smooth as glass. At the center stood a figure of light shifting, faceless, its form drawn from Elara's own silhouette. It spoke in her voice. "You seek to carry the ember, but do you carry yourself?" The chamber rippled. And suddenly Elara was surrounded by visions. Her younger self, eyes wide with fear. Herself standing over graves she couldn't mark. Herself turning away from a hand she hadn't braved. Each image was sharper than memory, a blade drawn from her own regrets. Her knees weakened. "No!" The faceless double stepped closer, its voice breaking into a chorus of her own doubts. "You think you're chosen, but you're only desperate. You will fail them as you failed before." Ember's glow flickered. "Their chains, break them." But the visions clung to her. The graves, the failures, the whispered accusations. The ember burned hotter, slipping from her grasp. Her double lunged, fingers of light clutching for her throat. Elara gasped, clutching the ember with both hands. Instead of pushing it outward, she pulled inward, centering its rhythm into her own heartbeat. Not denying the visions, not fleeing them, catting them. "Yes," she whispered, tears hot on her cheeks. "I failed. I'll fail again. But my choices are mine, and I will not be ruled by fear." The chamber split with a thunderclap of light. The double shattered into fragments, dissolving into starlight. The visions collapsed, leaving only silence. Elara dropped to her knees, the ember cradled in her hands. Its glow steadied, calm and resolute, no longer raging but a light gripping her shoulders. "Are you with me?" Elara's breath shook, but she met her friend's eyes with quiet strength. "I am more than before." The chamber faded. The spiral stairs rose again, carrying them upward toward a faint shimmer of dawn. Elara stood taller now, though the ember's weight felt heavier than ever. Not because it was crushing her, but because she had chosen to carry it,